Pope Leo XIV has delivered one of the Vatican's clearest warnings yet on artificial intelligence. The message is not a rejection of technology, it is not a call to stop innovation or to treat artificial intelligence as an enemy. The warning is more precise than that. It is about power, responsibility, and the way digital systems are beginning to shape human life. In the Pope's view, artificial intelligence must remain at the service of the human person. It cannot be treated only as a technical achievement or as a private asset controlled by the companies and institutions that own the data, the platforms, and the infrastructure. That distinction matters. Because artificial intelligence is no longer just a tool used by specialists. It is moving into work, education, war, public administration, journalism, medicine, and everyday communication. It is beginning to influence how decisions are made, how information is distributed, and how people understand the world around them. The question then is not simply whether artificial intelligence is useful. In many areas, it clearly is. The deeper question is, who controls it, what values guide it, and whether ordinary citizens can still understand the systems that increasingly affect their lives. This is where the debate becomes political, not only technological. For years, digital platforms were presented as open spaces. Everyone could publish, everyone could speak, everyone could take part in the global conversation. But the reality has become more complicated. People may still be free to speak, but visibility is no longer equally distributed. A post, a video, a report, or an investigation does not reach the public simply because it exists. It reaches the public if a platform chooses to show it, recommend it, rank it, push it, or allow it to travel. That is the quiet power of the algorithm. It does not always need to censor. It does not always need to ban. It does not always need to remove a voice from the conversation. Often, it only has to decide what appears first, what appears later, and what is never really seen at all. This is why the Pope's warning is larger than a debate about machines. It points toward a new form of dependence on systems that organize attention. Most people now receive news through feeds. They form opinions through recommendations. They follow events through notifications, trending topics, short videos, and search results. Reality arrives filtered, ranked, and selected by systems whose inner logic remains mostly invisible. And that creates a serious problem for public life. Because when the infrastructure of communication is controlled by a small number of powerful actors, the public square changes its nature. It may still look open, but the rules of attention are no longer public. They are built into private systems, optimized for engagement, growth, and prediction. This does not mean that every algorithm is malicious. That would be too simple. The issue is more subtle. A system can be useful and still create dependency. It can connect people and still distort attention. It can recommend information and still shape the way a society thinks. That is why the real question is no longer only what artificial intelligence can do. The real question is what kind of human beings we become when the systems around us are optimized not for truth, patience, or understanding, but for speed, reaction, and control. This is the point at which the discussion about artificial intelligence begins to touch something deeper: cognitive sovereignty. Who owns the conditions under which a society thinks? Who decides what becomes visible? Who decides which emotions travel fastest? And who benefits when public attention becomes easier to capture, predict, and direct? Artificial intelligence may become one of the most useful technologies in human history. But usefulness is not the same as neutrality. And progress, without public responsibility, can become a form of domination. That is the warning. The future of artificial intelligence will not be decided only in laboratories, boardrooms, or military research centres. It will also be decided in the way societies defend human judgment, public debate, and the freedom to think without being constantly pushed toward reaction. And this is where the debate moves from artificial intelligence to cognitive warfare. The phrase cognitive warfare can sound dramatic. It suggests secret operations, propaganda campaigns, or hostile states trying to manipulate public opinion. Sometimes, of course, that is exactly what it means. But there is also a quieter form of cognitive pressure. It does not require a single command center. It does not require someone to control every message. It can emerge from the environment itself, when millions of people are trained every day to respond faster, feel more intensely, and think less patiently. This is where algorithms matter. Most platforms are built to keep attention moving. They reward content that produces an immediate response, a strong emotion, a quick judgment, a share, a comment, a moment of anger, fear, surprise, or identification. That is not an accident. It is the economic logic of the feed. The more people react, the longer they stay. The longer they stay, the more data is produced. The more data is produced, the more predictable the user becomes. And the more predictable the user becomes, the more valuable the system becomes. In that environment, the fastest forms of thought are rewarded. Outrage travels well. Fear travels well. Certainty travels well. Simple stories travel well. Enemies travel well. Slogans travel well. But the slower forms of thought struggle. Context is slow. Verification is slow. Comparison is slow. Memory is slow. Doubt is slow. A serious argument is slow. A careful investigation is slow. This does not mean that complex thought disappears. It means that complex thought becomes less competitive inside systems designed for speed. That is the real danger. A population does not lose critical thinking in a single moment. It loses it through habit, through repetition, through an environment that rewards instant reaction and makes reflection feel like a delay. People are not stupid, but they can be trained to use only the fastest part of their intelligence. And over time, that changes public life. A society that reacts before it understands becomes easier to provoke, easier to divide, easier to predict, easier to manage. This is why the question of artificial intelligence cannot be separated from the question of democracy. Democracy is not only the right to speak, it also requires the ability to listen, compare, remember, wait, and change one's mind. These are not fast processes. They require time, trust, and attention. If the public square is redesigned around permanent acceleration, democracy becomes weaker, even when free speech formally remains in place. The same problem affects journalism and education. A journalist may think he is competing with another journalist. A teacher may think she is competing with ignorance. An independent creator may think he is competing with other creators. But all of them are also competing with the architecture of the feed. They are competing with a system that pressures them to be shorter, faster, louder, and more emotionally efficient. They are pushed to simplify, not always because the public demands it, but because the infrastructure rewards it. This is a profound change. The old question was whether information was true or false. That question still matters. But now there is another question: whether serious information can survive in an environment that often rewards the most immediate emotional response. The new form of control does not always need to silence complexity. It can simply make complexity less visible. It can push it down. It can slow it. It can surround it with noise. It can make it economically irrational. That is why the idea of disarming artificial intelligence should not be understood as a rejection of technology. The point is not to stop machines. The point is to prevent machine-shaped environments from weakening human judgment. Artificial intelligence can help medicine. It can support research. It can improve education. It can make many systems more efficient. But efficiency cannot be the only value. A society also needs depth. It needs patience. It needs institutions that can think beyond the next reaction. It needs citizens who are not permanently trapped in the emotional rhythm of the feed. Disarming artificial intelligence does not mean rejecting technology. It means removing AI from systems designed to manipulate attention, amplify emotional reaction, and weaken human judgment. The goal is not to outsmart the algorithm. The goal is to reduce the power that algorithmic environments have over human behavior. Artificial intelligence should help people think more clearly, not react more quickly.